trouble and strife. Seeking love soul, this little paper deity. Let's go and flash the plastic, blowing all on hot girls and wheels. Let's do something drastic. In the morning we'll never feel. Where were you on Black Wednesday? Stood for hours outside the Northern Rock. Still hungover from Tuesday. Must we take this banker's crock? In God we trust. Send us on the bill. From boom to bust. Make every thrill. Make you steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity. In God we trust. Send us on the bill. From boom to bust. Make it a thrill. Make you steal your life. Dominate your goals. Make trouble and strife. Seek another soul. This little paper deity. Oh. This little paper deity. Well, there we go, folks. That was Bobby Booth's mix of my song Paper Deity from my 2016 EP belonging to Tomorrow. Thank you very, very much, Bobby, for sending that mix to me. I know you'd completed it for the Paper Deity mixing series, and I just didn't actually get to playing it for some reason. I can't remember why now, but I'm really sorry. And my apology to you was playing it as the intro music for tonight. So I hope you liked, and I hope it sounded good over YouTube, because YouTube can be a bit of a wee. There are words that I might say that I won't say because I might have my channel revoked altogether. So, but sometimes the audio doesn't sound that great over YouTube. But in my headphones, that sounded really, really good. I like what you did with the delay on the tenor sax at the end. That was a lovely touch. Now, my original cut my original mix of that song in 2016 had a fade out at the end. Um, Now, kind of what happened when we were recording that, Roger Key, the tenor player, he just kept going after the music stopped. And there was some chord vamps that had carried on afterwards on the Fender Rhodes. And the reason why the Fender Rhodes keeps going and everything else stops was that when we tracked the rhythm section live, and everybody stopped at the end of the chart like they were supposed to do, and me, band leader, I just kept on going. So anyway, and Roger came and overdubbed the sax, and he just decided that he would keep going too, and it sounded great. But so I faded that out, so you don't get to hear that on the original record. But there you go, bit of completely useless information, I think. So, Peace Valley Audio, as you may well see, my good friend Mike Neighbour now has the blue wrench, which means he's a moderator on my live streams, and he'll be helping me keep an eye on the chat, because certainly there have been some live streams where we've had some mischief makers come in to create mischief, and I figured I actually need an extra pair of hands. Jonny Guy is also a moderator on the chat, but I don't know whether he'll be here tonight or not. So I needed somebody who could come in and I knew would be here as well. Let's see. Who else has a blue wrench? Ken Moss, of course. Yes, Ken, I also made a moderator as well. That way I could guarantee that I've at least got a couple of people in here other than myself, who can just kind of keep things ticking over nicely. So there we go. That's that, really. Now, tonight's show is going to be a little bit shorter than normal because I have an absolute mountain to climb of work that needs done. I've got tracks, and I've got stuff I have to mix, and I have masters to do, and I have like an imminent deadline, and I have fallen a little bit behind on my deadline. So I'm going to truncate, there's a good word, truncate this show a little bit. So we started a little bit late because I needed to go to the bathroom. So we'll have that as added on time at the end. But we're not going to probably do the full hour. Because I just need to plow on with my work, and I'm probably going to have to work through the night. So that's going to be fun for me. And the kids are off tomorrow because it's a bank holiday. Should have thought of that, shouldn't I? Really? That would have been good if I'd actually planned that, but I didn't. So there you go. Somebody asked how my foot is. My foot is doing very good, actually. It's doing fine. Pretty much back to normal, which has been great. I'm up and about, and I'm mobile, and it's all good. So that's very kind of you to ask. Thank you. So let's see. Who do we have here in the chat? I'm going to go right back to the top. Martin was the first one in the door. And Thomas Malkerson says, good morning from the Philippines. Well, very good morning to you too, my friend, from the Philippines. I love it when this show is not just transatlantic, but international. That's great. I love that. Who else do we have here? Bobby Booth is here, and that was his mix that we featured this evening. It's an outstanding mix. It really is. It's a brilliant balance of all of the elements of the mix. The drums, you've probably mixed them quieter than I would, but you know what? They still have punch, and they still, you know, they're still there, and they're still present enough. So I'm not going to say that that's bad, because it isn't. It's just, you know, a little bit of a different kind of balancing preference, I guess. You know, for a song like this, I like the drums to really drive the song and give it a lot of propulsion. So, but you know, not everybody does that with the style of music. Some people like the drums to sit back a little bit and have, you know, other elements give the drive. Well, for me, I like the drums to be relatively upfront for this kind of music. But as I say, not everybody does. for this kind of music. But yeah, it was a great mix. Lovely. Balance of the guitars, which was nice to have some reverb on that palm muted guitar. It's nice. So yeah, great mix. And the sax sounds great. Really does. It sounds fantastic. That's a challenge because well, the two big challenges of that song were the drums and the sax, really, because the drums are basically mono and there's a reverb baked into it, which you can't get rid of. And then, of course, there's the tenor sax that was recorded in a small room. And so you did really great with those challenges and made them sound effortless. So I appreciate that very much. Let's see, Just Bob is here as well. He agrees. And you guys are making some hilarious comments about who should be in my band. Billy Preston on keys, Steve Gadd on drums, if only. And Clarence Clemens on sax. I like that. That's very cool. Let's keep going down a bit. Okay, I think I'm down to the bottom now. Ken says some severe thunderstorms and lightning now, so I'll stay on for as long as I can. I appreciate that, Ken. If you need to duck out, then duck out. You know, you got to be... you guys get some terrifically violent thunderstorms. We do get thunderstorms, but they're not terrifically violent all the time. You know, it's not like regularly we have terrifically violent thunderstorms like you guys have. Ours are relatively... Well, they're British, aren't they? They're British thunderstorms. They're a little bit apologetic. So, just like our tornadoes. We do get tornadoes here in the UK, but again, they are apologetic tornadoes. They kind of go, oh, hello, here I am. Don't want to do too much damage. Don't want to do, don't want to stir your cup of tea. And then they're gone. We get about 40, maybe 50 tornadoes a year, and they're usually pathetic. But that said, the other end of the spectrum is the ones where the twister itself is about 4 miles wide, and it just flattens a town in about 15 seconds. We don't want those either. Nobody wants those. So anyway, that's another subject. But yes, thank you, Ken, for coming in, and enjoy being a moderator. So let's see. Martin says, so now, Jonny, you can say you have a label of your own, Blue Wrench Music. I do actually have a record label of my own. And it's had several different names over the years. At the moment, it's called Lipsham Music Records, but that might well change again. And it's been JK Music. It's had all sorts of names. At one point, it was Abbey Way Music, because, well, we lived on a street called Abbey Way, and I was just like, please, City Council, will you change it to Abbey Road so that I can be Abbey Road Music? But no, they didn't. Kyle is here, Kyle Jadruziak, and he says, spent 4 hours at a steampunk convention today. Steampunk. Awesome. That's very cool. I am going to several conventions over the course of the next 12 months. Some of them political, and I'm, one of them is, and the other big one that I go to is a military history convention. It's a gathering of amateur military historians that I go to mostly every year. Just Bob says 5 years ago or so we had an F dollar tornado. I guess that must be F5. F5 tornado destroyed my hometown, missed my mum's house by 2 blocks, and it landed, bounced over, and re-landed 3 miles away. Oh, F4. Well, yeah, F4 is pretty big. They are extremely destructive, F4s. F5s are, I think I've heard that referred, the F5 ones as being referred to as the finger of God, because they are, well, terrifying. And I'm sure an F4 is equally terrifying. Our ones are maybe F1, F2 at the worst. There was a tornado maybe about 10, 12 years ago that touched down in Birmingham, down in England. And that was that was something else. For us in the UK, that was terrifying. And it lasted about 16 seconds. And it took roofs off of like about 3 or 4 blocks of houses on about 4 or 5 streets. And that was about it. You know, nobody was killed, nobody got hurt. And that was the most powerful tornado we've had in the UK for maybe about 10, 15 years. Our ones are tiny. You know, they're like F1s mostly. Frank Saracino is here. He says, can you tell us anything about the Epic Personas event without getting into trouble? Is it related to Studio One? Those are 2 excellent questions. The answer is I cannot tell you anything, which also answers the second question. No, unfortunately, I am absolutely busting to tell you guys. I really am, but I can't. I will get into a massive amount of trouble if I do. So, and I really don't want to do that. It would damage everything that I hold dear. You know, it would damage my credibility, it would damage my integrity, it would damage my relationship with Personas, which I built up over the last, 6 years, and you know, it's going well. So I don't want to damage that at all. And I love the company; they've been very, very, very good to me. So no, unfortunately, I can't. But yes, you had to ask, and a lot of people are asking. They are asking both me and Jonny Gibe, and you know, they're asking us the same kind of thing. You know, what's it to do with? Can you give any hints? Can you be, you know? Unfortunately, I can't. I can't even give subtle hints. Just Bob says, I will miss your 10 a.m. Wednesday 21st live stream. I'll be at work. Yeah, it's not my live stream, but it will be the Personas live stream. It will be available on replay. And news of what is announced and revealed on, it's actually Tuesday. It's Tuesday, not Wednesday. The Tuesday event will be available for replay. You'll be able to watch it at any time during the day, and you'll all get to find out all about it. And I'm pretty sure, even if you're able to just pop on Facebook, you know, you'll get to see what it's about, because news will travel very, very fast once the announcement is made. So Kyle says, I believe it has something to do with Personas. I think you might be right there. I have a sneaky suspicion you could be right. I don't think it has anything to do with Avid, as far as I know. And I don't think it has anything to do with Steinberg either. I think it's pretty much, it's got something to do with Personas. All right. Okay. I'm going to tell you. I know I'm going to get into trouble, but I'm going to tell you. The big news that's going to be announced on Tuesday is that I have just purchased Personas. I've invested all of my family estate and my inheritance, and I've just purchased Personas. So now they belong to me. There you go. I'm just messing with you guys. Deer Creek says, it looks like the Personas surprise is out of the bag. As far as I know, it is not. I know that some people think that it has something to do with Nectar. But if you watch that video, that is, they are using the current public release of Studio One. So there's nothing new there. So the surprise is not out of the bag. So no, it's not out of the bag. A lot of people think it is, but it isn't. It really isn't. But I'm not going to tell you anything else. Kyle, that's hilarious. What, all £35? Yes. That's exactly right. It was a sweet deal. All right, folks. Let's get into your questions not about the broadcast, because I cannot answer any questions to do with the broadcast. Okay? So don't even ask. Okay? It's just not, I'm just not going to go there. Okay? So don't even ask any more questions about the broadcast on Tuesday, because you're not going to get any answers. All right, so let's move swiftly on to your questions about mixing, mastering, songwriting, all that kind of stuff. We can talk about that and any current issues that you have with your current release of Studio One. Dear Creek says, whilst you've been on air, a video has been released. Well, I don't think so, because that would totally preempt the broadcast. So anyway, we're not going to talk about it. So that's the end of that subject. All right, so moving swiftly on to any other questions that you guys might have. I am working on a new EP, which I'm hoping to put out this summer. I haven't got an exact release date for it yet. But yes, I'm working on some new songs. It's going to go in a little bit of a different direction than what you're used to. So it's going to involve more use of drum loops, and I don't really use drum loops a lot. In fact, hardly ever in any of my songs. I use them maybe for mocking up a groove, for to give my drummer a flavor of what I want him to play. But by and largely, that's all I use them for. But this time I'm actually going to be multi-layering different loops. Some of them I'm going to create myself, and some of them are going to be loops from a loop library that I have acquired. So that's all going to be very, very cool. Martin says I'm going punk. No, I'm not going punk. Although I did play in a band once that was a punk band. And they kind of fused punk with jazz. It was hilarious. And the songs were so funny. The songs were hysterically funny. Sometimes I couldn't play for laughing. The songs were really that funny. So I'm working on this new EP. It's involving drum loops and working in different time signatures. So not really working in 4/4 much. I'm working in different time signatures. Sometimes multiple time signatures within a song, in certain cases. So it's all going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a different sound. So I'm really looking forward to you guys being able to hear it. I'm loving the direction that the songs are going in so far. And the last EP kind of dealt with, there were 5 songs about different tensions. So this album's going to be not really about tension. It's going to be about no, I'm not going to tell you actually what it's going to be about. It's going to involve I'm going to keep on delving into this whole thing of human emotion, which is kind of where I started with tension. So I'm going to explore some other emotions this time. So Just Bob asks, so you've talked briefly about guitar frequencies clashing when recording. Does that also apply to using electronic keyboards, or is it strictly live instruments? Well, sampled sounds that you get on keyboards these days tend to already have a lot of sweetening done to them in advance. So, that's pretty cool. You still need to do some EQing to make them all kind of fit together. But you don't tend to really need to do a lot, because they're already kind of sweetened and balanced and stuff. But certainly something like a Fender Rhodes, if you're talking about mechanical keyboards like a Fender Rhodes, or like the Wurlitzer A200 or the Hohner D6 clavinet, instruments like that, or the Hammond B3, they do have their own little build-ups here and there. Like for example, the Fender Rhodes tends to have a bit of a build-up round about between 360 to 420. There is kind of just a build-up of frequencies there. So when you mix a lot of my songs, because a lot of my songs have a Fender Rhodes in them, you can find that builds up, especially if I'm layering different instruments. Like if I have a song, like I think a couple of albums ago, I had one song where I had a Fender Rhodes and a Wurlitzer, and they were both playing different voicings, which helps. It helps kind of get a, one of the ways in which you can deal with avoiding potential for clashing frequencies is at the arranging phase. When you're still kind of crafting and molding your song, and you're getting the idea of what the production is going to sound like ultimately when you get to the mixing phase. One of the things you can do, if you've got lots of things like guitars or keyboard instruments, the thing you can do is you can work it out in the arrangement. So, for example, you could have a Fender Rhodes playing one particular part, and then in a spot where it's not playing, have like a Wurlitzer or something like that. Two very fairly similar sounding electric pianos, but you can balance them both by having them play opposite each other. You can also do complementary EQ. So, maybe in the Fender Rhodes, you would pull out some of that 400 area, and maybe in the Wurlitzer, you might kind of give it a little bit of a lift at that area. Not too much, because again, it's going to have a similar kind of build-up. So you can do complementary EQ, but you can also do complementary arranging, so that you've got the two different instruments playing off each other. So complementary EQ is something you can do with keyboard instruments. And you said here... you said something and I've missed it. Yes, not VST. Yeah. VST's sampled sounds, you don't really tend to need to do very much. Maybe a splash of compression to even out the dynamics of your playing, or whomever it is that's playing the VST. But yeah, you don't really need to do a whole lot with VSTs. But mechanical instruments, yes, you probably can do a little bit of shaping to make them, fit together, some kind of jigsaw-like, much like you would with guitars. If you've got like two different electric guitar parts, for example, you've got two Fender guitars. Well, a Telecaster and a Stratocaster sound quite different, and they both have different frequency responses. So you can kind of make those two marry together quite nicely, without having to do a whole lot of EQ. But again, it's about chord voicing. And, if they're both playing together, have one play lower down and one higher up. Even if that means you need to put a capo on the guitar. I'm not a big fan of capos, because capos put the instrument fundamentally out of tune, because it shifts the harmonic series. Which, is annoying to my ears, because it means the harmonic overtones to my ears are now out of tune with where they should be. That's what a capo kind of does. But to most people's ears, it's not a problem. Just to mine. But yeah, so you can certainly put a capo on a guitar and play different voicings. Or even try different tunings, like have one in standard and one in open, or have one in drop D and one in open G. You can do either of those as an option for making, different guitar sounds fit together without having to do a whole lot in mixing. So I hope that answers that question. Martin says, punk and jazz, wouldn't that be called junk? It could be called Paz. Just Bob says, fuse punk and jazz, junk or Paz. Yeah. Martin asks, would multiband compression work for that issue also? Yes, you could certainly try multiband compression. Yep, certainly try it. Give it a try. If it works for that particular sound source in that particular mix, then go ahead. It could certainly do it. Kirk McWright is here. Good to see you, Kirk. He says, I apologize for not having finished up my mix of Paper Deity yet. Been somewhat under the weather past couple of weeks, and I've just not had the energy to do justice. Hoping to return to it soon. Well, Kirk, my good friend, you don't need to apologize. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. And the other thing is that I didn't really set a deadline. This was, kind of an open-ended thing that you could just do when you want to. You didn't have to watch all 10 of the videos kind of consecutively and then kind of mix consecutively. You didn't need to do that. I mean, you could do that if you wanted to. I kind of deliberately made it open so that you could do that if you really wanted to. Let's see. Amanda, is that Weiner? Says good evening to the group. Good evening to you, Amanda. Welcome. I think you are new to my show, so welcome and I hope you enjoy. This show is a little bit unusual compared to my normal shows. Normally we have a little bit of a demonstration of something in Studio One, or we have a particular talking point that we talk about and then chat kind of revolves around that. But tonight's show is going to be a little bit truncated because I have a lot of stuff that I have to do. So shorter show than normal. So today it's just really question and answer. So if you've got a question to do with songwriting, mixing, mastering, any phase of the production, front end to back end, that can be fairly, it'll need to be a fairly focused question, so I can actually answer it in this show rather than going, you know what, that's a show all of its own or a video all of its own. Was here a couple of weeks ago. Good, excellent. Well, I'm glad you came back. That's great. Let's see. Yes, Kirk, we hope you are feeling much better, and I'm glad you're here, and take your time for coming back. Gotta look after yourself, buddy boy. Kyle says, heck, I took at least 12 or more tries at Paper Deity. Yeah, it was a challenging song. It really is a challenging song to mix. It's my song, and I found it a challenge to mix. But I certainly, I don't know, maybe it was my old room that was some of the issue with why I found it a challenge to mix, because doing it for the series in this room, it was so much easier. And it may well be that I just have a lot more space, so there's more room for the audio to move about a little bit, maybe. And there, I don't have too many standing waves, and I don't have too much flutter echo or anything like that, really. Not massively, anyway. So, I think maybe my room had something to do with it, but, not entirely. Frank says, when you put out a release, do you get a lot of listeners? I'm terrible at marketing music and almost no one hears my music. I get quite a few plays. I don't get millions of plays, and to be honest, just to make a single penny, and I'm talking about one of these guys, just to earn one of these, you have to have your song played probably 1 million times. Just to earn this. This is a penny, okay? They are ugly, ugly little things. And there's 100 of these in a pound. So, 1 million plays just for this. What is this going to buy me? Not a whole lot. Pretty much nothing. Maybe 30 years ago, I might have been able to buy a penny sweet, but penny sweets don't exist anymore. This is all you got. Penny sweets, they don't cost a penny anymore. They cost 5 pence or 10. That's 10 times the inflation. So, streaming doesn't really pay very well. But people do purchase my music. I have a page on nimbitmusic.com. If I can find my Nimbit page, I will put it in the chat here. I think if you go to nimbitmusic.com, let me see if I can do it. nimbitmusic.com/ Jonny Lipsham. Let's go and put the W's in. Oh, hang on, I've missed out the colon. Now this that link there should take you to my Nimbit music page, and all of my music that I have released in the last few years is up there. Some of my earlier records are not up there because they are out of print. My album Time to Turn from 2007 is out of print, unfortunately. And unfortunately, it probably will never be back in print because the master tapes are missing. They went missing in 2010, and nobody knows where they are. So unfortunately, I cannot make a remaster or anything like that because I don't have the master tapes anymore. So I can't re-release those. But yeah, everything else is up there. There's Faces and Places, which is the single I did for the December 10th challenge. That is up there. And there's Softly Spoken, which is the instrumental track that I did in 2017. That is up there. And then, of course, Belonging to Tomorrow is up there as well. Just Bob says, since you upload your music yourself, how can it be out of print? Because it's out of print because I don't have access to the masters anymore. Basically. Because Time to Turn was not uploaded by myself. It was on, that was a record I did for a record label. And the record label doesn't have the master tapes anymore. They got lost. The record label relocated, and that was that. The master tapes went missing, so I can only make pressings. I can only make CDs out of second generation or third generation tapes now, which is not as good as the original masters. So, and that was my last analog record I made. Everything was recorded analog. It was mixed analog, and it was mastered analog, and then we pressed to CD from the analog master tape. Is how we did that. And then I pretty much went full digital after that. So, yeah. Amanda asks, I was actually looking into headphone... Here, I started again. I cannot read today. Amanda says, I was actually looking into a headphone mixer. Can you tell me about them and if it's actually needed? Now, headphone amps are useful. Presonus make 2 of them, I believe. There's one that's like a little 4-channel one. I can't remember what that one's called. It's called the HP6? I can't remember. And then there's a much bigger one that's called the HP60. And those are both really good. And they also make a little backpack one that you clip to your belt, which is called the HP2, which is great for in-ear monitoring. So yes, a headphone amp is useful because you can kind of have different volume levels of the mixes sent to those headphone amps via Q mixes. So, if you've got like a whole band and you want to record them and you want everyone to have their own individual mix, like, not everybody's going to need the click track. HP4, thank you, Kyle. Not everybody is going to need a click track, for example. Maybe the drummer does, but maybe not everybody else does. Everyone else wants to be tight with the drums, but not with the click, maybe. So you only want the click to go through that Q mix, and so on and so forth. So let's see. Deer Creek says she might be interested in a Q mixer versus an amp, as per her question, all of which you can do in S1. Yeah, Q mixing, yeah, you can do Q mixes. That's absolutely 100% legit out of Studio One. I don't use them. mostly because I don't have multiple artists in my studio at any one time. If I did, I would probably make use of them, but I don't. So for me, they're personally not necessary. Q mixes are not necessary. But there are a plethora of situations where Q mixes are very helpful, and you can set up specific outputs in Studio One in the song setup matrix, which allows you to have individual mixes for headphones and that kind of thing. So I hope that helps. Just Bob says, "Wow, that stinks. Maybe pick the best song and pick some in the group to re-record as a Sunday Night Live project." Well, you know what? That would be a hell of a challenge because I used to back in the day when Time to Turn was recorded, I had an 18-piece band, which had a horn section, female backing vocals, as well as a six-piece rhythm section. So yeah, that would be a massive challenge. And you know what? You'd all have to be able to play my weird chords and be able to improvise on those weird chords as well. Some of you might be able to play my weird chords, but not everybody will. So that would be a huge challenge. And the other thing is I'd have to go and try and find the charts. I don't even know where they are. They are in this studio somewhere. I have a big wall behind me that is basically a cabinet, and behind those sliding doors are box files, which is what is left of my huge, massive filing cabinet. I had two huge filing cabinets that were filled with charts for my various bands that I ran over the years, and I wrote all the arrangements for and everything. So, and I've managed to whittle them down into box files which can sit on shelves in there. So I'd have to go and sort through those and try and find those charts. Amanda says, exactly, we want to record my 3-piece band with the guitar and the bass direct and the drums mic'd. If it can be done. Yes, it can be done if you've got enough inputs on your interface. You can record. Your limitations for recording are limited to what your interface will allow. My interface will allow 8 inputs. So, I can record a reasonable amount of people in this room, but not everybody has that. Some people have little two channel interfaces. It's going to be hard recording a larger band with a 2-channel interface. I have done it. I recorded a big band with a 2-channel interface. So it can be done. It's more it takes a lot of planning. It took me months of planning. And I had to basically make the arrangements so watertight that people could I could get 3 people into my, this is like in my old room, in the little box room that I had. I could get 3 people in there at a time with their headphones, and and this is for a big band chart. You don't normally record a big band chart to a click track, but I had to, because it was the only way I was going to be able to keep everybody in time together when I was recording 3 people at a time. So you can do it that way, but I don't recommend it. If you've got an interface that has 4 inputs or 5 inputs, now you're talking about miking up drums. Now, how many inputs you need is going to depend upon how you want to mic the drums. Are you going to go for minimal miking, or are you going to mic everything? So those are things to think about. Oh, you have the 1602. Okay, well that's got plenty of inputs. And then you just need to basically route the audio from the 1602 into Studio One, and then you're good. And you just set up your inputs in your song, and away you go. You just hit record, and off you go. The challenge will be there for being able to set individual headphone mixes, and you can do that with Q mixes. Peace Valley Audio, that's my good friend Mike. He says you have four aux out. You should be able to send Q mixes to a headphone amp. Yes, absolutely. And RJ Hagler says this is no one night stand. It's a real occasion. Yep, close your eyes and you'll be there. It's everything they say. The end of a perfect day. Distant lights across the bay. Yeah, you know the song. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up now because it's getting late and I have a lot to do. So I'm really sorry to keep this short, but after the broadcast that I said we wouldn't talk about, but I'm only going to talk about it this once. After the broadcast on Tuesday, at some point afterwards, maybe in the early evening, Jonny and I are planning to do a joint live stream. It may replace Songwriting Simplified on Wednesday that we'd normally have on Wednesday. We may well just do this show instead. So, but I'll talk to Jonny about that, whether he's, up for doing 2 back-to-back shows with me. He might not be. He might have other things planned. So we'll check that out. And Mike, if you'd be so kind to jump into the Facebook chat after the show, I would appreciate it. So we're going to be doing that on Tuesday at some point after the broadcast and after everything is revealed, and we will have a great show for you, and we'll have a bit of a celebration. So that is it for this evening, folks. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. And okay, Deer Creek, thank you. Thanks, guys, for coming out and for the really great questions. Amanda, I hope you find the solution that you're looking for based on the things that both myself and Mike have mentioned, and Deer Creek as well, suggesting Q mixes. So go check those things out, and I hope you're able to get your recordings made. That'd be very cool. And please do come back and tell us all about it. Let us know how you get on. And if you've got any further questions, you can email me at johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. And if this show has been useful to you, please do hit the like button. And if you feel really inclined, hit the super chat button as well. I always appreciate those kind of things. So anyway, where's my mouse gone? I've lost my mouse. Oh, my mouse is sitting on the other screen. That's why I couldn't see it. I was like, where's the mouse pointer gone? It's not on the screen. There we go. All right, folks. I'm going to bid you a very good night. There'll be no play out music tonight because I haven't got anything queued up because I forgot all about that. So I will see you probably some point on Tuesday on probably Jonny's channel, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be on mine. It'll probably be on his. And then, of course, next week, same place, same time, we'll do a Sunday Night Live. And that's going to be an awesome show as well. Thanks a lot, Amanda. And thank you, everybody else. Take care and good night. Oh, all right, then I'll play a little bit more of Bobby's mix. I'm sure he'd be happy. I'll play it from about here. Make it real.